Hey, what's up, you guys? So, I'm currently recovering from a slight cold, as you may or may not be able to tell. And my girlfriend said that I am not allowed to make videos at all until I am 100% back on my feet. But truth be told, I'm kind of tired of just laying around doing nothing, and we have work to do, which is why today we are going to be diving into the world of Dragon Age and ranking the games. So, I guess the biggest piece of advice that I would give to anybody that hasn't played these games before is um, import your characters. Integrate those past saves whenever you can. Because while they don't necessarily get used as well as they do in, say, Mass Effect, those characters that you make and the choices that you choose do still matter, and they do still pop up in, you know, unexpected, unique, and sometimes sneaky ways. And so in my personal opinion, it is worth it to do so. So kicking off the list, we have Dragon Age Awakening. Now, I don't know if the majority of you guys would count this as an actual game in the series, being that it's actually just an expansion to the original game, but because it comes as a standalone disc, I'm going to say it counts. And an expansion is exactly what it is. I'd say that the only real purpose it serves is to give you extra time with the character that you've created, and it rounds out the story of the original game in the form of tackling two main questions. First of which is sort of what is the Archdemon and where did it come from, and the second one is what happened to all the Darkspawn once it was defeated and after the Blight ended. But if you're not somebody like me who cares about that sort of thing, that wants to dive into the lore and have those answers questioned and soak up everything that you can about the story and the world, if you're not like that, then I really don't think that Awakening has anything to offer you. After that, we have Dragon Age 2. Now, a big thing that I liked about Dragon Age 2 was that while the Darkspawn are still very present and still very, very much a part of the world at the time in which this game takes place, they kind of take a backseat to the growing conflict between the mages and the Templars. And the story more or less revolves around what side of the line are you going to fall on? Which side are you going to take in this conflict? And I think the biggest thing that I didn't care for in Dragon Age 2 is kind of the map size, I guess. Now, while Dragon Age up to this point has never been an open world game, an overly massive game, there was something to be said about the way that Dragon Age Origins kind of handled the map. While it wasn't the biggest thing, the way that it had you move around it and experience certain locations and kind of, and all that, made you feel like you were really getting around the world. You were heading to these locations. You were seeing kind of where each race is in the world, and their territory, and their, how they inhabit it, and how they interact with each other. For instance, you'd travel to the Circle of Magi, where the mages and the main tower or the school or whatever it is. You'd go to the forest to talk to the elf tribes that live there. You'd go to the underground dwarf kingdoms to deal with them. So overall, you really just got a sense of the world. And like I said, while Dragon Age Origins wasn't the biggest map, it was the way that they used it that made you feel like you were really getting a sense of the world and travel within it, and kind of the various corners of the Dragon Age universe. The thing about Dragon Age 2, unfortunately, is it takes place in one specific city, which is Kirkwall, and the surrounding areas. And it doesn't really expand too much past that. The game basically is all about kind of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between a handful of locations. So it really feels like they put, for lack of a better word, a leash on you, and it's just kind of compacted, and it just, they don't use the map in the same way, in my opinion, and it just makes it feel compressed and smaller. So that's something to be aware of when you play through the game. In second place, we have Dragon Age Origins. Now, Origins will always have a special place in my heart. At the time that it came out, I was getting older, and I won't say I was looking for more adult things, but I was looking for more serious things. More darker things, I guess. And when Dragon Age Origins came out with its, dark fantasy elements, its world that kind of seemed to have similarities with Lord of the Rings, I gravitated towards that. I fell in love with it, and it especially for the time, it blew my mind. I can remember getting stuck in this vicious cycle of playing through each character's origin story, because something cool about the game is that when you create a character and you start, depending on your race, you have an origin story to complete before you get into the main game. and they're each specific and individual depending on each race. So I got involved in this vicious cycle of creating a character, completing the origin story, um, setting the game down for a period of time, walking away from the game for a period of time, forgetting, creating a new character, going through that origin story, setting the game down again, forgetting again, and the cycle would repeat. So I ended up just playing through each origin story over and over and over again, without actually getting very far into the game itself. Until recently, when I finally sat down and said, I'm going to play through the entire series, I'm finally going to see the end or see something further of Dragon Age Origins. And I gotta say, I loved it as much now as I did then. It captivated me as much now as it did then. And it still holds up. I really enjoyed it. Yes, it is an older game. It is an aging game. But, Origins is such a great introduction, which might be obvious because it's the first game in the series. But it's such a good introduction to the world and how it functions and how each race functions within it and functions with each other. And, it really is a good introduction to the events that you are going to have to deal with as the series progresses. It's just, like I said, obviously it's the first game in the series. It's the first game that you should play, but it honestly is a great place to start, because it just tells you everything you want to know and familiarizes you with it, so that you'll want to know more and experience more. Like I said, Dragon Age Origins will always be a game that I hold close to my heart. So that only leaves my favorite game in the Dragon Age series to be Dragon Age Inquisition. And the reason why it is my favorite game in the series is because it takes everything that I loved about Dragon Age Origins and blows it out of the water. In terms of the map, it is now completely an open world game, so the maps, each map in the game feels massive. Each location feels unique and like it's alive, and that, it has its own, characters in it and issues to resolve in it, and it's just, the map is massive. The game itself is massive. In terms of story, in my opinion, it goes back to form, with the idea that, this darkspawn has shown up and is threatening the world, very similar to the way it was in Dragon Age Origins. And it is your job to gather the troops, circle the wagons, if you will, unite the races to stand against him. And if that's not enough, the conflict between the mages and the Templars that has had a lot of tension behind it and a lot of momentum behind it is now become a full-fledged war, so you also have to deal with that stuff. And I think overall it is a gaming experience for every type of gamer. If you're somebody like me who focuses on, the story and the plot and all that stuff, there's plenty of that. There's hours of that for you to experience. If you are a completionist that likes collectathons and getting all that stuff in your games, there's plenty of that. If you are somebody that likes challenge to your games and likes kind of going to that next levels, there are dragon mini-boss fights that are fun and challenging. Kind of similar to the way that the Valkyries work in God of War 2018. You don't have to fight the dragons, but the challenge is there if you want to try and slay each dragon who has unique weaknesses and strengths, unique abilities. They really individualize each dragon to be different from the ones that you've fought before. So if that's your cup of tea, then there it is for you. So yeah, like I said, I just think the game is massive with so much to do for literally almost every type of gamer. And I really just I can't shake this idea that the Dragon Age Inquisition was everything that I wanted the previous games in the series to be, as well as everything that I hoped it would become. Dragon Age Inquisition isn't a perfect game by any means. It does have its flaws. It did have some things that I wish they would have done differently, but it is an amazing game. It is a mind-blowing game, and for somebody that loved the series to begin with, and kind of as I played them this time around, really got to experience it and bond with it. It was just a great game. Which brings me to Dragon Age 4. Yes, I am excited about it. I think that Dragon Age Inquisition left off in a pretty interesting spot. That cliffhanger at the end of the game was pretty interesting, and I'm very motivated to see what is going to happen, where they're going to take it. With that being said, though, I do have some concerns, being that I recently learned that some integral staff members and crew members that made the original Dragon Age games as good as they were have left BioWare and are no longer with the company, which kind of concerns me because we all know the state that BioWare has gotten themselves in. So of course I'm nervous that they're gonna F it up, but I'm trying to be positive. I'm staying excited about it, and my hope is that they don't go too far backwards, that they kind of stay with the things that make Dragon Age what it is, the things that made Inquisition as good as it was, and they improve on it. They grow from there. So the Dragon Age 4 is hopefully the best one in the series yet. You know, fingers crossed, but time will tell. But yeah, until next time, guys, or until Dragon Age 4 comes out, because I'm sure I'll make a review on it, or a rant if it's too terrible. But until the next video, guys, we'll see you later.